to you and the DCM Media Group for allowing me to speak today. Look, I understand that many in the room know a bit about land lease communities. I don't intend today to speak too much about the model and what it is and all the capital that's trying to flow into the space. I thought to keep it interesting and keep you guys engaged, I'd spend some time talking about land lease through my lens and what changes we're seeing and how we're being a disruptor within the space, which would hopefully give operators and new entrants an ability to participate in what is a very dynamic and ever-evolving sector. Table, here we go, next one. So I am a director and CEO of GemLife, Living Gems and Illyria. It represents 11,000 home sites across Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. Out of that 11,000, 10,000 are DA approved sites. And there's another 1,500 home sites to come online between those three brands with the introduction of South Australia and soon Northern Territory within our sites. The growth of the asset class is pretty well known to everyone. It's moved at quite a rapid rate over the last decade. And again, this is from my lens rather than from an industry-wide lens. So for me, I've seen two economies grow within the sector, and that's the affordable and the premium end of the market. Both have insatiable demand, both have unfulfilled demand requirements. And no matter where you are in Australia, if you can deliver the right product, you will do well. So we have seen the baby boomer market starting to flow through and new cohorts arriving every couple of years. So for us, we're seeing demand change quite rapidly in relation to the needs and wants of the buyer and also the expectation of how we project the product to the market. So for us, we're constantly renewing the way in which we sell our story and sell the message because ultimately people get bored of the same rhetoric and the days of the dog on lap on a leather couch and a lady and a husband smiling back at you doesn't have the same emotive effect as it once did. So we're seeing new marketing campaigns that's centred around lifestyle, sense of belonging, rewarding yourself. So that's where the land lease community players are going and new to entrants are seeing that opportunity to essentially capitalise on that pent-up demand. I guess the rough and dirty stuff first and foremost, and I think it's a common theme no matter what sector you are within the senior living space, land supply, planning provisions, regulatory frameworks, there's misalignment in all levels of government for that matter, and particularly from a state level regulatory piece, we're seeing improvements. Obviously, New South Wales is going through a review for land lease communities at the moment, and we welcome those proposed amendments. Queensland's introduced rental control over the last 12 months, which is groundbreaking for the sector, and indeed may flow on to other sectors in the housing supply market. So we're obviously waiting to see what happens in Victoria, and obviously the introduction of legislation in Northern Territory and amendments in South Australia to bring themselves more into line with one another. So lack of land supply is a critical issue and something that I've been focused on since 2012. 2012, I set out to look at ways in which we could compete, not only in broad acre, but also look at ways in which we could deliver vertical land lease communities. Over that time, and probably since October last year, we've developed that model into a workable arrangement that makes financial economic sense and will deliver the same outcomes to homeowners as traditional broadacre opportunities do as well. Lack of land, planning provisions, obviously the undersupply of trades and labour play a big part in the way in which I have thought about land lease communities. So for me, we've obviously seen Simon Owen transition out of Ingenia, go into Eureka and focus on rental villages. So he's gone that affordable route, which needs significant investment and support. And then there are operators within traditional land lease, owner-occupied product that have gone down both directions. So both from an affordable perspective to the premium end, messaging can be a bit difficult sometimes, but that's something that's being managed efficiently, and we've even seen some groups transition into either it's premium or it's affordable. So for us, from a regulatory standpoint, our proprietary chassis system is what enables us to build in the same form and method in every single state and territory in this country. We do not change our build method, whether we're in Queensland, New South Wales or Victoria, and that will apply to Northern Territory as well, where there simply is a vacuum. So for us, it's very important that we do more as an industry, as operators. We've seen Daniel Gannon from the RLA do an amazing job for the retirement operators and an amazing advocate and lobby group, where we as operators within the land lease are probably, we're deficient with respect to lobbying for all sorts of various reasons, and we'll touch on that as we go. But regulatory framework is the critical path for every single operator. And for us, it's keeping our chassis system, the way in which we deliver our products, relevant and constant across the various states while they all play catch up. Home care. So won't go into it too much. Our previous speaker did a fantastic job, and no doubt that's been the theme of the last day or so. Land lease operators are thinking about it. Some operators like Palm Lake Group have gone in and done co-location, have chosen to become aged care operators, which has proven fantastic. They've been great administrators of that care product. And others, such as ourselves, we are sort of tending to steer clear of that co-location style of product, but we would be lying if we said that we weren't considering home care opportunities, ways in which we can become providers, way in which we can partner with providers, because we have such a critical mass. We have community facilities that complement the services that are seeking to be delivered to our homeowners. And frankly, the homeowners that are in our communities are notoriously independent, fiercely protective of their living arrangements. They wish to push that conversation down track as far as they can. So being able to provide that discrete level of home care is something that we have been trialling through the villages quite successfully. And we have been providing end-of-life care in a couple of our communities, particularly in Toowoomba, which has worked exceptionally well for us and for the families as well going through that grievance period. So with all that in mind, home care, regulations, planning risk, the trailing of legislation and zoning has made us consider how we can continue to deliver land lease community product in different built forms. So we know that there's an undersupply within our particular sector across all. That's not just to us, but what I've wanted to do is rather focus on the positive elements of this opportunity, which is one that faces us all, and how do we get the LLC model out to areas where we typically haven't explored, and that's being through vertical land lease communities, and also my new iteration called pocket parks. Pocket parks are something that I have just started, and we'll get to that in one of the slides. So pocket parks are sub 100 home sites. So I wanted to look at urban infill, established areas, more aged established areas that are 70s and 80s, built in the 70s and 80s, where typically our clients will move from to come into our broadacre communities. And I probably went to one of the hardest markets, which has been Rockhampton, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I deliberately did that because I wanted to set a price ceiling, and I wanted to manage the efficiency of the build, and I'll come to that. So traditional villages, not going to spend time on it. You all get it. Land lease communities have traditionally been broadacre development sites. We took over the RVs in the early teens when RVs started going to the middle and inner ring parts of the CBD. We took up that land supply up in those urban fringes. The next one is obviously the pocket park. So the pocket park was an idea that spawned out of more bespoke, tailored concierge style of communal living. So we've typically seen communities anywhere from 200 to 400 homes, some 500 to 600 these days. But we've seen there's a niche part of the market that don't want to live in those types of communities and that don't necessarily need a bowling green, don't necessarily need a tennis court or golf simulator or whatever it may be. So by studying the market, we have been able to develop a product which we're calling the Pocket Park, for lack of a better term, and I'm sure others will come with one. But the Pocket Park is like a Formula One race. So the only way that this makes a development profit is if we are efficient as builders to deliver the product on the ground as quickly as we possibly can, and we're out within that 12 to 15 month period. So you've got to have your marketing on point, you've got to have your construction teams on point, you've got to have your buyers educated and in a position where they've sold their homes, because obviously you're only selling if they're selling. So Rockhampton has been that market for me, and it's been one that's been hugely successful. So a couple renders of the type of product. So they're duplex style homes as well. So that's another challenge for me. Typically we do freestanding zero lot style villas. This market we went to the duplex style. So again, sharing a common wall and obviously having a different garage style arrangement, tandem parking, instead of the traditional double lockup. But again, hugely well received in that market. With buyers, with buyers that are not wanting the frills and the expense of those bigger communities. So the baby boomers are cognizant of site fees. They're well versed and educated in what goes into site fees. So they understand that bowling greens are expensive to maintain and replace. They understand cinemas are also expensive to maintain. Games rooms, golf simulators, 100 grand. You've got to constantly update the software. At the end of the day, all of those costs get passed on to the homeowner, so they're recovered. So homeowners are aware of that. So some of those niceties that are feel-good factors, we've started to strip away, and it's been hugely successful for us, particularly in Rockhampton, where this product has been developed to date. So that's the Pocket Park. It's one of 3 in the pipeline that we're currently developing. Yeah, it's an exciting opportunity. It's got a different flavour to the traditional village. We're very much going after the townhouse developer, that small, the sub 2 hectare type product, 2 to 3 hectare product. And we feel that the land lease model is suitable, and who knows, maybe this is the introduction of all age communities, particularly for the Eastern Seaboard. We know Western Australia through Yoke Property Group are trialling their own all age setup. But we feel that this will be a good segue for all age communities in due course. The next one, which I think is exciting for everyone, is our vertical land lease communities model. I have not invented a tool. I have not pioneered anything that is different or out of the ordinary with respect to how typical building construction methods build homes in Australia today. I've simply applied different build methods from different sectors to deliver an outcome that allows us to build mobile homes. Now, the test that I have applied, because I'm positive that every single RV operator and state regulator will want to stress test my theory, we have made sure that we've complied with even the most archaic legislation, which is Victoria for land lease communities, and that's being able to move these homes within 24 hours. So our first EA, as Christopher mentioned, is out now at Currumbin Waters on the Gold Coast. We are looking to break ground come June, July from an earthworks perspective, with a launch later in the year for these apartments. They're about 175 square metres in size, so they're decent. I've deliberately kept them bigger because I'm also I'm in competition, I guess, with downsizes of developers doing traditional units along the beachfront. In this particular resort, what I have done to again give me some buffer and give the buyer some comfort is I've kept the communal facilities separate. So the communal facilities still sit outside of the structures themselves. It's simply the structures that are relocatable. Best way to explain it without taking too much of your time is imagine a chest of drawers. You pull out a drawer, it does not undermine the structural integrity of the chest, nor does it undermine the use and integrity of the remaining drawers. Simple as. It's one of those, shit, that is so easy, I should have thought of that. We have thought of it, we've spent a lot of time doing it, and I hope, for me, this is not IP that I'm looking to protect. This is IP that in time will be shared with others. And again, we'll be looking to sell these for about 1.4 million on the Gold Coast in a median house market where it's over $1 million. Currumbin Waters on the Gold Coast is a very established market. So this is not going to be an affordable solution, but nor does it need to be. This is going to free up homes for second, third home buyers, working families, young kids in established markets where people want to live. So they're the three focuses for us at the moment. So yeah, a bit of a render, a bit of a snapshot of the Currumbin Waters project itself. That's what's going through my lens at the moment, and what my focuses are from a built form product perspective. And I think as land lease community operators, we have to think outside the box. The days and the luxuries of trying to find broadacre development sites in good locations are over. We're seeing some big prices being paid for development sites to cater for land lease communities. We've seen a lot of spivvy sites, I call them, a lot of back at nowhere sites all of a sudden can house 150 manufactured homes. We've got to be careful of that trap as well, because at the end of the day, continuity of supply, continuity of the product offering is vitally important for the success of this business model. So the big factor also, so outside of the built form, is through prospective utilities. A couple operators within the sector are already taking advantage of the 5G wireless networks. We have already, at our GemLife Gold Coast project up in Pimpamar, which will be approximately 650 home sites, moving towards 5G wireless networks. 5G wireless networks, I had my first opportunity through Tropical Cyclone Alfred to see the benefits of that technology, and I can confidently say that as a result of that wireless network, there was no disruption, no outages, continuity of service, and that's what the success of this 5G network relies upon, is that continuity of service. So when we talk about home care packages and software and virtual GPs, we as a business are thinking about those things now, and for us, GemLife Gold Coast is the first of all new communities moving forward that will look at 5G as a viable solution. And look, at the moment, it's a technology that is more expensive than typical fibre. We're not going to stand here and say that it's not, but it's a technology that will provide that consistent, continual, on-demand service, quick streaming times, without the fear of services being cut off. I know Mark's speaking at midday today from Prospective Utilities, and we'll touch on those things. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to address, rather than waste too much more of your time, and I'm happy to answer some questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and Adrian. So, have we got any questions? Surely there must be some questions. The impressive thing is that Adrian is out there doing this stuff and doing it at great speed. So he hasn't got one business, he hasn't got two, he's got three. All three of them have separate funding partners, histories in terms of partnerships with family and Singaporean investment groups and so on. But it's the speed that you're doing things that just impresses us every time. But behind that speed is the fact that when we were talking about this vertical, he said, I started this 12 years ago, because you could see the challenges coming forward. So, and now part of the challenges you see is the regulatory framework, that it's important that the land lease sector gets its house into water so that it can explain to the community what the product is, where it's positioned, and what it can offer and what it can't offer, I assume. So what is valuable, I think, for this audience is Adrian and his sector is out, it's being aggressive because it can see where, it visualises where it's going, and it's putting all the things in place, and we need to do the same. So can we show our appreciation for Adrian? Thank you.